hospital. This is at a different kind of angle. We can sometimes see a flurry come down, but I'm not seeing any right now. Well, I think there's some there. You agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lighter areas at this time.
Yeah. All right, here we go. And now we'll take a look. Look at this at Express Carry in Summerall. It's coming down pretty good there. It's all snow, and it's certainly picking up there as well. And another location, look at this at Pine Belt Honda and Pine Belt Jeep Ram in West Hattiesburg. Look at the snow falling there. My goodness, it's really snowing to beat the band there. And this is South Central Regional Medical Center in Laurel, and it's snowing there. You can clearly see the snow at that location as well. And this is Circle C Tractor in Waynesboro, where it's 27, feels like 20, and the winds of northeast there at 6, so I don't really see any. But look at this at Walt Massey Ford in Columbia. That is a snow right there. That's a moderate snow. And you can start seeing it collect on the ground there. I think that roof has got the snow collected on it. See the tops of the cars? That's getting snow on it as well. So this probably, and if I think Nick agrees, may move over to our area later this morning, this afternoon. You think
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. But boy, look at the snow there. Good grief, that's crazy. And finally, we have a couple of snow flurries now at Jones College in Ellisville, where it's 27. Feels like it's 16, and the winds are gusting up there to 23 miles per hour. So again, it is a first alert weather day for the snow, a first alert weather night for the cold and the possible ice. And Wednesday, same exact thing, cold and ice. And again, here's the counties involved. Everybody in pink is under the winter storm warning. So we'll move on and show you what's going on as far as our radar. And clearly you see the blue is getting a little thicker in some areas, especially in Columbia and even west of Columbia near Tylertown, Macomb. That's heavier snowfall, and that may be moving in our area later on this morning and this afternoon. So here's what you got to consider. Bitter cold weather. There's no question about that. Nick and I went out back at the station here a few minutes ago, and I just wore this little suit I got on, and I couldn't sit out there. And Nick didn't sit much longer than I did either. And so heavy snow possible at times later this morning and early this afternoon. Icy roads could be a problem, especially in our southern counties and along the coast. I just got that issue from the National Weather Service out of Slidell. Here's the official forecast. It's basically a computerized forecast, but it's showing snow between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock this afternoon. I think it'll start tapering off between 3 and 4. I think we may have to examine that a little closer. But at this point for 4 o'clock, if we make it to 30 today, we're still in the 20s. Right now, Nick will have something on that just very shortly. It does decrease to about a 30% chance at this time, we're thinking that, but that actually may be extended a little longer before that happens, but it'll be in the 20s for sure by 6 o'clock. It's in the 20s right now. Nick will show that to you in just 1 second. It's cold and snowy. Look at this big band of snow in Louisiana that's still got its way to come across us. So this event is not over yet. Forget about your pipes, forget about your plants, worry about your pets, and of course worry about people. Make sure they have a nice place to go and make sure your livestock and your pets have water that is not frozen, and make sure they have plenty of food. And of course, make sure that people who may not be as fortunate as some of us, the rest of us are, make sure they have a warm place to go and plenty to eat. All right, again, there's that first alert day for today. Here's your forecast. Basically a 70 to 90% chance of snow likely at this point. I don't even know if we're gonna make 31. Nick's about to discuss the temperatures right quick. And winds north at 10, 20, 25 miles per hour. Now, this is what's supposed to happen overnight. Clearing skies, dangerously cold, about 12 degrees, and a north wind at 5. Thank goodness the wind's not going to be any stronger tonight. And Wednesday, it's going to be a better day. It's just going to be very cold, sunny with a high of 42 degrees. We'll go ahead and show you the 7-day forecast. There is some encouragement in this. It's going to be chilly all the way through Friday, maybe even into Saturday, but by Sunday and Monday, we got a 20% chance, maybe a little sprinkle on Sunday with a high of 65. But look at the low on Monday morning, only around 48. And look at that, we get to about 65 on Monday with about a 50% chance for scattered showers. So Nick, take it away.
Hey Rex, I think you're exactly right. I know periodically we'll step outside and see just how much snow we've got. We've even got a sheet of plywood to help kind of gauge what that snow depth is looking like. But all things considered, right, there's a difference between a winter storm / snowstorm like we're seeing right now and a blizzard. There are some areas to our south that are having way heavier snow and even further reductions in terms of visibility. But if you've been looking and you've been catching some of our broadcasts in the past, you may have noticed at certain portions, some of our cameras, the visibility goes down a little bit. Not necessarily to nil, but still enough to be noticeable where it almost looks like, I hate to say fog, but it definitely reduces that visibility because of the wind-driven snow. But one thing to keep in mind, since a lot of heavier snow is missing our area, right, we don't have necessarily a blizzard. There's a difference between a blizzard and a snowstorm. A blizzard, one of the key elements that it necessitates, well, is strong winds. And yes, we have winds, but that's a breeze. It's not going to be something that's very potent in the area. So let's talk more about some of those wintry storm conditions, right? You can see, look at this big, heavy blue band coming on in from the I-10, I-12 corridor there up from southeast Louisiana. And basically what we're looking at right now is a lot of this is going to continue to sort of drift east-northeastward, northeastward, and some of those heavier patches, I would not be surprised if we see that in Hattiesburg. If you were joining me for our latest update just the other hour, and I'll make sure I don't trip on the screen behind me there. Anyway, as I was talking about, basically with this abundance of moisture that's just to our southwest, it's going to continue to bring areas that could see slightly heavier portions of snow at times. That's one thing to keep in mind as we set that radar motion into the loop here. Now, big picture, look very carefully at this radar loop. You notice that the blue here extends several miles into the Gulf of Mexico. And even that sort of kind of rain / snow line, that line is as thin as a pencil, okay? There's not a very big definition. There's snow falling over the Gulf of Mexico, okay? So you can see just how much moisture is being pulled up from the Gulf of Mexico, those deeper blues, especially over the Gulf there, west of Atchafalaya Bay, those sorts of folks there. But all things considered, we're going to continue to see a lot of the rich, abundant moisture continue to get propelled into our area. We'll continue to see snow over the course of the next several hours or so, approximately speaking. Now, in terms of those temperatures, well, I know that we're marching forward throughout the morning, but as we continue to stay snowy, those temperatures are going to struggle to change a whole lot. They may rise still a degree or 2 or 3 at the most, but that's about it, okay? They're not going to change a lot from what you see right now, if they even rise further at all. There's a very good chance that we stay below freezing for today, our daytime high being sub 32 degrees, somewhere in that sort of neighborhood there. You can see a lot of upper 20s here in the neighborhood, even areas closer to the coast. Areas that are closer to the coast, I know normally they tend to be warmer, whereas the areas up north tend to be colder. But the opposite is true, because you can see that basically a lot of heavier snow is confined. Areas like Pearl River County there, Stone and George as well, they're at 24 and 25 degrees, whereas we're 4 degrees warmer. And on a day like this, that's actually a decent enough difference to be noticeable, especially when you given the fact that it's inverse of what it typically is. So all things considered, that may be a good evidence sign of something we may be looking for all that rich moisture, some of the potentially heavier snow at times coming up from the southwest. It may even lower some of our temperatures as they struggle to try to rise for today. It's one of those days where it's going to be kind of a funky day, right? We don't see these days often. They don't always follow the rules, and especially when it comes to these Gulf low snow setups, they're difficult to predict. They're difficult to kind of gauge and all that, and that's why we're trying to make sure that you guys kind of have the latest developments as we're talking about them as we speak. You can see, though, that that northerly breeze is going to stick around for the course of today, and eventually the wind will die down. But we're going to have to wait until kind of right around tonight and at the latest tomorrow for a lot of that wind to die down there, because all things considered, if you do plan on spending time outside for all those snow festivities, you're making memories, you're doing like what Rex and I have done, where you peek outside the door, you step outside for a few minutes to take a look, maybe take a picture or something like that. it's going to feel a lot colder than it is. You can see the coldest feels like temperatures, the coldest wind chill on the map is on the Alabama state line in State Line, Mississippi. 11. It feels like 11 in State Line right now as I speak to you at 10 o'clock in the morning here in South Mississippi. A lot of other folks are going to be at around 13 degrees in terms of it feels like temperatures at this time, and a lot of the other wind chills are going to be confined into the lower teens there. Even Wiggins there at 12. Once again, a pretty strong indication not only of the colder air, but the heavier snow that is literally just to our south and just to our west that we're going to be watching to see as it sort of evolves and how much of it makes it up into our area, primarily, once again, south of the US 84 corridor. That's where we're going to see those primary totals in the area. Now, let's talk vertical sampling, right? I know that if you've been joining us, we were talking about various points throughout the morning here where we have temperatures all being sampled in a vertical aspect of our atmosphere. But this is the latest update here as of 10 a.m. with the temperatures above us. And you can see here clearly we are well below 32 degrees in all categories. From the surface, right here where I'm standing, you and me, right? If you're joining me from your den or wherever you may be, you may notice that all things considered there, we are below freezing for the entire way, all the way up. This is why we see snow, folks. If you joined me for that winter weather discussion when I was talking about winter weather types with Oreos, if you remember the Oreos that were all cream sections all the way through for that Weather Focus episode, this is that, okay? You can see here that effectively the precipitation has literally zero opportunity to melt. And of course, there are other types of wintry precipitation other than snow. But the reason snow is so pronounced simply is because there is no melting layer across this storm system for the precipitation to melt from the clouds to the surface of the earth. Okay, let's talk hazard index, right? That involves a lot of things today, especially if you plan on heading south or west, where a lot of those conditions are even worse than ours. If at all possible, just try to stay home for today and even tomorrow. With a lot of lingering snow and ice on the roads, potentially, it can be enough to cause issues. It can cause potential issues there where you want to make sure that you steer clear of that. It can be hard to evade things like black ice or even just ice in general, especially at nighttime too, when visibility is reduced. But if you must go outside, make sure just to reduce speed and do your absolute best there. Okay, in terms of wind chills too, it's going to be brutally cold. Remember, when it comes to wind chills, it hampers your ability, your body's ability at that, to keep itself warm. And so with the wind chills well below than the ambient air temperature, that's why we're seeing those feels like temperatures pegged way below what the mercury thermometer, maybe your home mercury thermometer or whatever you've got at home, a little home weather station, or even your WDAM weather app may be suggesting. All key points there. Okay, for tomorrow though, well, we do have sunshine on the way, and thankfully enough, we peak at 40 degrees right here in the Pine Belt, and you can see that's going to feel like the teens well into the morning before we finally rise a bit. But even then, I know that it's going to feel still like the low 40s even in the afternoon with that low of 40. However, this is also telling me something that I was actually talking about earlier. Remember how I was talking about how the wind ought to die down in time for either tonight or at the latest tomorrow? Well, here you go. The feels like temperatures, there's not a whole lot of difference between the feels like temperatures and the ambient air temperatures there. So you can definitely see that the wind is going to be less pronounced. Now, before we go, you can see the 7-day forecast here. Once again, snow for today. We're going to be sticking tight to watch the whole snow show for today, the whole sky spectacle, whatever you want to say, before a nice sunnier trend does end up in store for us here in the Pine Belt. But remember, the next several nights will stay brutally cold. There could be ice on the roadways until Wednesday or Thursday even, and of course after that eventually we will see that warming trend closer to South Mississippi standards that we would normally consider typical for the month of January.